Hello YouTube, this is Lost Child 14,000. I really wanted to see this up on YouTube for the longest time. Not too long ago I sent comment after comment to Yahtzee Croshaw to review a game I really like for all of its glory and suckiness. Okay, maybe it was only 2 comments, but I really like this game, guys. So I'm going to do my own retro review of it. I know there are only 2 or 3 good Yahtzee ripoffs on the internet, and my contribution to this sort of genre will probably go unrecognized. But let's not focus on that, and I'll get straight to the review. Geist, that's Geist, not Geist, is the German word for ghost and the name of a game released by N-Space in 2005. The name of the game was going to be Fear. That's Fear, not F-E-A-R. It's a fun and very active title with so many elements that it doesn't really fit into one real category. This isn't to say that Geist suffers from game mechanic overload, but the game is pretty intricate. First, the game starts out looking like some Half-Life-esque kind of Call of Duty knockoff, with soldiers infiltrating and gathering information, then a rather easy fight past the guards to get the fuck out. Then, without warning, the game turns into Doom meets Lovecraft when you need to get past the spider slug. Once you and the team get out, someone's eyes start glowing with the "I'm about to be a plot device" syndrome. And the story itself is a bit weird. Here's a tip for anyone playing this game. Don't be an atheist. Even if you're just into New Age medicine, it might help when you're dealing with the other side of all things. That's probably why it wasn't marketed as strongly as the umpteenth clone of Plumber Hero that Nintendo has out now, because as a story, it might be a bit like Da Vinci Code meets Wes Craven, but the game, it's just fucking awesome! All in all, the story is very compelling, but at the same time, you need to pay the fuck attention. Sure, they'll let you know what's going on at the present, where everything is very nice and very interesting, but if you don't pay real attention, there might be a bit of confusion as to the backstory. After playing the game the first time through, I thought I knew everything there was to know, but after looking online, I found some new info, and on my second playthrough, I saw a lot of shit I missed before. Apparently, this lady was with her husband for many years when suddenly her husband just up and died. After hearing the voices, she decides to do what she's told by the pixies in her head, and she erects a temple, and perhaps an entire cult around this gigantic pit of death somewhere in the south of France. Suddenly realizing that this probably isn't the best thing to do, she stops focusing on this demonic hole in the ground so much in order to take care of her niece and nephew. And, not to be rude, but the brother and sister Volks look like they just survived some part of World War II, another part of the story that isn't well explored. Moving on. The brother, Alexander, likes to read the aunt's old magic books that she just happens to have lying around. And the sister, Gigi, likes to run and play with her teddy bear. You know, normal kids. Sort of. Then, one day, Alexander, being a total dick, tries to get away from his sister by climbing a tree in their aunt's garden. Then Gigi falls and cracks her head on a stone, and Alexander tries to awaken her using the portal to hell. What? Come on, kid. Are you really that stupid? I mean, I guess it could be a book from back before the aunt realized she was speaking to the evil deads, but she must have told them that the place was haunted or something. Hell, even the boogeyman might stay away from this bloody thing. And after opening the gateway, Trigon pops out at him, and I swear this happens in-game. Not only is Gigi completely separated from her body, but the gigantic red monster just slaps Alexander across the face, apparently putting a bit of itself inside of him. Yeah, that must have been a nice, long conversation after he got back home. Hey, Auntie, I was playing around with that pit of death thing. Well, Alex, did you release that total ultimate evil? No, it's still in the ground. Oh, okay. Hang on. Why's your face bleeding green? Where's Gigi? Fast forward a few years later, and Alex has built an entire laboratory out of his auntie's old cult complex. The lab's main job seems to be making weapons out of the old creatures that come out of the death pit. Alexander has also a secondary setup, using the portal to hell to rip the souls out of people's bodies, and then training them, or rather brainwashing, the spirits to take over key leaders of the UN summit, and control the world. But when G.I. Joe lookalike Raimi is sent in to extract Tolkien Black spy, Bryson, some ghost takes control of one of the soldiers and kills everyone except Raimi and Bryson so that, you guessed it, they too can have their souls sucked out by the Trigon 5000. After Raimi's ghost is set free by little child ghost Gigi, he must go through Puzzle Game meets Medal of Honor meets Doom meets fucking awesome in order to save Bryson from being turned into a ghost soldier as well. Then, after severely fucking up the Hellspawn portal and releasing Evil Bastard number 1, Raimi runs off to get his body back, have some of the innocent workers of Volk's labs saved, and then save Alexander from becoming the most evil bastard who ever lived. And in the end, everyone good who could have died throughout the game shows up in a helicopter, and Bryson says, with no connection to the plot or any meaningful conversation you've had with him thus far, "I'm hard to kill. I'm hard to kill. I'm hard to kill." That's the end line. I know you wanted to have the badass black guy say something cool at the end, but you really ended it with that. There are some problems with the AI. In fact, the programming is, well, too intuitive. Even on hard mode, there are very few NPCs that do mimic human behavior situations well. Usually, they'll shoot at you from cover, but if you don't get them in about 40 seconds or so, they jump out of cover in an attempt to get a better shot or give chase. My first playthrough, I thought it was pretty cool that the pacing was so fast, but after a while I did start to notice that John Ramey must have gone to the Headshots 101 Academy. But as soon as this became apparent, the enemy types got switched up, and all of a sudden I was fighting soldiers who knew not to take cover near ghost-sensitive bombs, and demons that can turn invisible. And as difficult as it was, it also became pretty freaking sweet. The game also has its own version of a QTE, where you need to hit the A button like your right arm is just turned into a vibrator. And this might seem like a nitpick, but tell me this. When nearly all control is taken away from the player and the only way to not die and repeat the whole level over again is to jackhammer your controller before you stick your face into a fan, what is the one skill that is going to tire your arm out more? Even with all the problems, this game is one of the best games I've ever played, and that is saying something. It always keeps you on your toes, always allows you to use your wits to solve puzzles, and it has a story that I must say is quite haunting. And as a Nintendo title, it's not just good, it's great. You know, more games should be like this, a fun FPS that may or may not borrow heavily from Doom and Lovecraft. The game might actually be a monument if only they could find a better way to implement press A to not die.